It's a make or miss league, and it's amazing the difference one shot can make. This is episode 16 of the Royal City Hoops podcast. We are going to talk about the evolution of the Toronto Raptors and how from 2001 and the missed shot Vince Carter had in the Game 7 of the series against the Sixers to Kawhi Leonard's made shot, funny enough, against the Sixers in a Game 7 to send them to the NBA Finals. Where the Raptors are now, where they're going based on their roster. And let's do it. So as always, we've dug into what they have, their assets, their liabilities. And full disclosure, I'm a homer. I'm a Raptors fan. So take what you will from what I'm about to say. Now, the number one asset I think the Raptors have is Masai Ujiri. He's the orchestrator of everything. He's put everybody in place, salaries, all of that. Is he been perfect? No. I mean, he did draft Bruno Caboclo, so definitely not perfect. But again, you could see him building the roster over the years, similar to the roster in Denver. Talent in every position, depth, youth, manageable salaries, and he hit a home run when he brought in Kawhi. He used the assets he had. They were in perfect position to bring in a star, and it worked out perfectly. I don't think anybody could have hoped for better. Where are they now? Well, they've got $85 million in salary cap space for 2021 coming up, with only Kyle Lowry's really monster deal as an expiring. They had some small ones with Patrick McCaw and Stanley Johnson as expiring deals going into that season. And that's the year that Pascal Siakam's big deal kicks in at $29 million a year, which, gladly pay that money. He is easily one of my top two favorite players, and the number one being Luka Doncic. And I think everybody at this point should be well aware of my man crush on Luka Doncic. The Raptors have done an incredible job of positioning themselves well for the future. They have some nice chips to move around. They have all their draft picks. They've got Norm Powell, who's rounding out into a pretty good NBA player on a really manageable contract at $10 million a year next year, and then 11.6 the following year as a player option. And given the times that we're in, that we've lived 2 months full of Saturdays, he's going to opt into that. No, I don't know a lot of players right now who are going to opt out of the contract that they have with the certainty. Even a year from now, I'm sure Norman Powell is going to opt into that. And I say that, I change my mind tomorrow. But the Raptors salary cap, really good spot. They've got Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka coming off the books to combined almost $50 million. That makes a big difference going forward. Now, they got to sign Steady Freddy. Fred VanVleet, his contract's up. He was a bargain. He is a shot maker. You want to talk about closer? I would say on the Raptors roster, he is probably their best closer right now. The Raptors are blessed in that they have Lowry, who can close out games, and Siakam, who's just, I think, going to continue to get better. His ceiling is so high. His motor's so high. He just blows me away. How far he's come in the last 4 years. It's unbelievable. They've got some really good roster flexibility that will probably disappear if they can get VanVleet to sign. So one of the liabilities that Toronto has is that it's in Canada. It is the only Canadian franchise, and as much as people have talked about the dollar being an issue and taxation, one of the more interesting takes I heard was from Jalen Rose, because he played in Toronto. And he said one of the big obstacles is customs. The players have to go through customs 41 times in a season. Well, they have 41 road games, so they may be away. They probably not there and back 41 times, but they're away. They play a few games on the road, come back. And in the States, my understanding is they fly back. There's no customs. Whereas in Canada, it's 2.5 hours every time they land to get through customs and get in a car to go home. There's no special privileges. So that is one of the things from his point of view that seems like a deterrent that I've never heard discussed before. What I've heard in the past is, the metric system with Antonio Davis. Did not want his kids to learn. It's just totally weird. And, the conversion of the dollar, things like that. People can get used to that. The taxation, I would think the taxation and going through customs are two of the bigger ones for athletes to get used to. On their roster, like we said, I think the closers, they have pretty well covered. None of those guys are elite closers yet. I would still rather have Kawhi or LeBron or, Paul George, all three of them in LA. You have lots of guys who are better closers than Pascal, but I can see it coming. He's not afraid of the moment. He isn't comfortable in it yet, I don't think. But he just impacts the game so much. So Fred VanVleet to me is a number one. You probably throw at least $15 million a year at him. 4 years, $60 million. Is that enough? I don't think so. I think 4 years, closer to 80, is going to be what would take to get him. But we don't know going forward because of the salary cap. Do guys suddenly go, hey, this whole pandemic thing is kind of thrown a loop. Let's take 2-year deals with the player option and a second year, so that we can kind of make up some of this money that we might be losing because the salary cap's going to go down. Like, it's revenue sharing. All of their salary cap base is based on this much revenue, and the players get X amount and the owners get this. So if that's all out of whack because of us all being on lockdown and losing months out of our lives, somewhere or the other, the owners and the players are going to squabble over this, and they're going to have to get even with it before we can go ahead. So I don't know how contracts are going to work. It'll be a very interesting scenario. They definitely have 3-point shooting. VanVleet, Lowry, Norman Powell can make it. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, who's going, cannot. You've seen Siakam start to improve his 3-point shooting. I would like to see them try to re-sign either Gasol or Ibaka, preferably Ibaka, because they're really good players. They're just super overpaid right now. If you can get them on a really vet-friendly deal, I think that would be worth it because they stretch the floor. They're smart players. They know how to play. They know your system. One of the things super undersold to me in the NBA is the value of continuity. When you don't have to retrain players to your system and get accustomed to them and their personalities, I think there's a big value in that. Another thing the Raptors do really well and have since they were under Dwayne Casey is they play hard every night. I think playing hard is a skill. I do not think it's something that every team does every night. But the good ones, like some of the mediocre teams that play hard, the Raptors being the prime example, they win games because they play hard. And they bring it every night. And they have depth. So if somebody's having an off night, they're going to push somebody out there and do it. I'm a big fan of OG Anunoby as a role player. No, he's not the greatest three-point shooter. He may never be that good at as a three-point shooter. But I think he's going to improve to the point where you can't leave him alone. He's shown the willingness to take it. I think he will improve. He's always improved over the past seasons. Had a little bit of a struggle staying healthy last year into the title run. But I really think he's a piece. He moves well without the ball. He defends. He's committed. He's long, athletic, strong, and he knows how to play. Like, he can make a play for somebody else. So I think his offensive game will start to blossom soon, especially if you're going to see some of the shots disappear if and when Lowry moves on or Fred VanVleet unfortunately goes somewhere else. He's going to start to get more shots. Now, is he going to get 20 shots a game? Probably not. Would I roll the ball out to him, say, go get me a bucket? Probably not. But I think he can be an 18-point-a-game scorer, shoot high 30s and threes. He rebounds well, great defender. I love him as a pick, and I really hope they can keep him in the long run because he's the type of player, very San Antonio-esque, that other teams, when he becomes a free agent, they're going to be throwing money at him. I really like the pickup of Terrence Davis, really under the radar. I didn't know not much about him. Heard a lot about him in training camp and summer league. Watching him play, super impressed. Now, if he continues to develop, you've got him and Norm Powell. if you want to move some things around and Kyle Lowry and you want to get younger and you got a chance at a player, hey, you got some assets to move out there. And he's making $1.5 million on a team option next year. So expect him to get a big deal if he plays well. Or other teams they're just gonna get in on him too. So I really enjoy how the Raptors draft, how they develop players, how they use the G League. They get guys down there, they get them reps and minutes and into their system. So defensively, I like them as a team. Chris Boucher is really a nice backup big. I don't think you can play him, 30 minutes a game and not get exposed. But as a change of pace, energy guy, block some shots, impact the game, he's the deal. I mean, he's making $1.5 million a year. He'll be getting an offer for more. Again, hopefully they can keep him. But my real belief is that I'm so confident in what Masai does to recruit talent, to draft talent, that I feel like they could replace him. And I speak that way of a lot of the guys on their team that aren't the key components. You can't replace Siakam. OG, I wouldn't trade him for anything. That's an overstatement there. I would trade him for LeBron James or somebody like that. But they're role players. They have a really good team, really good organization, really good culture. And I don't know that they'll be contenders, but they're going to be a really good team. And for me, as a fan, I would rather they be a really good team than you're always rebuilding. I don't want to be the Atlanta Hawks. I don't want to be a team with potential and a bunch of young guys. And I buy a ticket and I'm wondering, man, are we going to get blown out by 30 tonight or am I going to see a game? I go to a Raptors game on that rare occasion, maybe once or twice a year. And I'm looking forward to when my kids are older and I can take them, my two boys. My 6-year-old's always saying, hey, can we go to a Raptors game? I'm like, oh, it's kind of expensive to take a 6-year-old who's not going to appreciate the whole thing. But he's going to get to that age where he really will get it. And I don't want to have to take him to a crappy Raptors game where they get blown out. And I know they're going to get blown out to go. It's fun to go see them win. Are they going to be a top 5 team in the NBA? No. What they might be is a landing spot for Giannis, because this is a rumor that's been going around. He and Masai have a history. Who knows? Whatever that means. They're not going to be the only team taking a run at him. Big Golden State rumors about Giannis right now, and Steph Curry haven't talked in the past, and that Giannis has been their target for years. I mean, who knows? No one knows. He may stay in Milwaukee. But I do like the Raptors as a position to get other free agents way better than they ever had before. Do I think it's going to happen? I think it's a really tough sell, and I think it'll always be a tough sell. But are they a destination for somebody who might be disgruntled, who's got 2 years left on their deal? They're going to see what Kawhi did and going there and all the good things that free agents say about Toronto. I think they'll be willing to take a stab at it. I think if some guys are available, if Bradley Beal were available, I would definitely trade for him. I mean, what would you have to give up? You're going to give up Kyle Lowry's salary, maybe give up Norman Powell in a draft pick. Is that too much? You got to take some garbage back from Washington, but I would do it. You're going to get good value there. So the Raptors, I really think they've put themselves in a good position, and they're always reloading. That's what I like about it. Since Masai got there, I always feel like they're reloading. So we've talked about they have closers. I think they have enough three-point shooting. Boucher can hit. Van Vliet, for sure. Norman Powell can make a few. Kyle Lowry is a solid three-point shooter. Siakam's starting to come on. Ibaka and Gasol can make them. I don't think they have any truly elite three-point shooters, but they got enough guys on their roster that can make them and spread the floor that you have to at least stay close to. And that's a big plus in today's NBA. Defensively, just the pairing of Anunoby and OG in the front court, to me, the length, the athleticism, the ground they can cover, that's a dominant pairing defensively in the next 5 years. And Lowry's the bulldog. No, he's not quick. But he knows how to play positionally. He fights. And Fred VanVleet definitely fights for everything he has. I really like them defensively. Norman Powell's a solid defender. None of their guys are afraid to defend, and that they know that's part of their culture to do that. And Dwayne Casey deserves a lot of credit for instilling that, because he started, that whole pound the rock thing that other teams have kind of taken in. What does it mean for the future of the Raptors? I think they're always kind of going to be, a top 4 team in the East if they can continue to draft well, which they've shown they can do. Masai, next to Danny Ainge, is there anybody else that's shown a bigger pair of cojones to pull a big deal and go for a ring that it's worked out? Everybody thinks Masai's a genius. And it looks like it right now. I mean, I think the dumbest move he could do is probably take a deal and go to the Knicks. So that's where I am as a Raptors homer. In love with the Raps. Love watching them. It's just too bad League Pass blacks out my local team. Now, I hope the sound on this one's a little bit better, because I had to put up a blanket. I noticed at Dad HQ the sound was bouncing a little bit. I got to mess with the lighting here. I'm still figuring that out. But hopefully I can get it sorted soon. I might make some acoustic panels so that the sound doesn't bounce around. But I guess as a renovation contractor, I can figure out how to do that. So as always, I appreciate you taking time to listen and to watch. Like if you like. Comment if you have something to say. Subscribe at your own risk. And we'll see you on the next one.